Here's a classic recipe from the Van Halen cookbook, a phaser and a flanger together. I've got an MXR Script Phase 90 that has been modded by Analog Man. It's got an LED and a power jack on the side, makes it a whole lot easier to use on a pedal board. And then I've got the Past Effects Hot for Flanger, which is a recreation of the late 70s MXR flanger that Eddie used. There's some extra features on this one, which I really like as well. We can talk about those, or you can just go and check out the Hot for Flanger video that I did a few years ago. Anyway, one thing that I found really interesting reading up about this was Eddie was asked why he ran the flanger before the phaser. And his answer, I think, kind of speaks volumes about how seriously we should take some of this stuff sometimes, is that basically it just sat on his pedal board better. Like, I think having the Phase 90 under his mic stand and the flanger a little bit further over just made sense. So I kind of love that as well. Like, well, I didn't think too hard about it. I just got on with playing guitar and being really great at it. So sometimes it is really nice to read into particular technical reasons why this stuff works. Other times it's just fun to do it like our heroes did, because they did not give a what a Phase 90 does, but it doesn't make it any less satisfying to play through one. It can be such a great way to just add that extra little bit of spice to your guitar sound. I think I prefer it on single notes and lead lines more than I like it on chords, whereas I like the flanger more on chords. So the Hot for Flanger manual has some suggested Eddie settings in there. If you've got the MXR EVH flanger, there's a button which will do the unchained thing, but I think this gets pretty close. The idea is to keep the speed, width, and manual below noon on here and give it lots of regeneration or feedback. One cool thing about the Hot for Flanger is that there's a button which lets you select positive or negative feedback. So you can do what the original pedal would do, but you can kind of go beyond it. There's also a level control on there, which I've turned up past unity gain. So it's going to give me a little bit of a boost. And now it's time to butcher Unchained. I would describe both of these pedals as having a real chewy feel in what they add. The flanger on those settings is obviously going to be a lot more prominent and in your face. However, using both of them together can be pretty cool on there. So I adjusted the manual control on there a little bit just so it was a little less extreme. I like the way harmonics pop out on there. And then the Phase 90, like I was saying before, I really like it on single notes. It's maybe a bit too subtle on chords. So maybe for the chords, I'll have the flanger on. For the lead stuff, I'll have the phaser on, but we'll hear both of them together. So let's do this. Let's just start with the dry sound. It's actually really fun to mix and match and stack those two different characters on top of one another. You also notice that I've just stayed to the one set of EVH style settings on here. Of course, both pedals can do a little bit more than just that, but they are so tightly associated with Eddie and his rig that it's kind of hard not to do Van Halen-ish things when you're using them on there. I think something like the Hot for Flanger, if you're inclined to want to really dial in a bunch of different tones and maybe say use your Van Halen settings as a starting point to find your own favorite settings on there, that pedal's great because there's all the extra little options on there. And that's kind of what I like about past effects. They will take a classic design and they'll give the user more control while still staying pretty true to the overall ethos of the pedal. The Phase 90, I mean, it's a pedal every guitar player should probably own. You know, it can do that really subtle thing. If you wind it up past noon on there, you can kind of get like a rotary speaker trower kind of thing. Really like that. It feels and sounds so thick. The Hot for Flanger, you know, being able to control the blend on there to get a more subtle effect or to have positive or negative feedback is really cool. So I'll let you hear the feedback switch and then I'll back off the blend a little bit. really like being able to back off the mix control on there. Again, like I was saying before, you can use those classic Van Halen settings as a starting point. With a pedal like this that gives you that control though, you've got the ability to dial it into taste. And as always with this, or whether you're cooking or whether you're doing anything creative or artistic, dialing it into your taste, I think, is so important. That's really the point of this video. Is one, I wanted to just play around with these pedals that I've got here. It's fun to do that. But two, hopefully it inspires you a little bit to try and really find your own sweet spot on these pedals. Sometimes the recommended settings and the classic settings are great straight out of the box. Like a Phase 90, 9 or 10 o'clock, you are off to the races on there. Sometimes you can deviate from those accepted settings on there and find something all your own. Like, you know, the Phase 90 sounds great with the speed control turned up. The hot for flanger sounds great with negative feedback or with the mix backed off, going inauthentic, if you like, on there. And again, if it sounds good, it is good. That's really the point of this video. So I hope you enjoyed the sounds in this video. Hope the playing wasn't too terrible. If you like what I'm doing, there's links to support me directly. If you like some of those riffs, there's the Ragdoll discography linked on our Bandcamp store as well. Go and play your guitars. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.